Mr. Eggplant presents.
Hey guys, Tyler here, and thank you for checking out this video. Today we're going to continue on with my little series on how to get the most out of your Marksman Hunter for Season 4. And next up is going to be embellishments and crafted items. We've already talked about bullion spending, the items that I'm going to be aiming for and in what order. There is a video, much like a video for my Season 4 Marksman Hunter guide. Both of those are down near the top of the description, should be just under the timestamps of this video. And as for the guide, I hope you guys will check that out and leave me your feedback. I changed how I approached the guide this season, and then also I tried to make it more new player and also returning player friendly. So I'd encourage you guys to give me any feedback on that. But anyway, this video here, we're going to be talking about embellishments and crafted items. So first off, there has been a lot of different embellishments and different combinations that have worked for Hunter throughout the expansion. But now we're kind of down to two different options, but that's not to say that that's a bad thing. So first off, what are embellishments? So embellishments, you can have two on your crafted gear, only available in crafted gear. So you'll be spending a lot of time here in the crafted orders if you don't do much in professions, and then they just really augment your character's damage. So for example, let's go ahead and take a look at the first two, or I should say the two different embellishments we're going to be using, and then there's just two different combinations of those two. So the first one is going to be the Adaptive Dracothyst Armguards. These are a leatherworking only crafted item that you can get, the leatherworker I should say, can get from the Zaralek Caverns. It does take a lot of boulder trading to make these happen though, so they might be a little bit more expensive, at least for crafting asks, as well as the mats are a little bit more expensive than the other one. But for the Armguards, how they work is that whenever you take damage, you have a chance to get stats. In that case, it would be a combination of crit and versatility. And then if you do crit damage, which we do a lot, you have a chance to get a different set of stats, that being mastery and haste. Both of these can happen at the same time. In fact, you have a pretty decent uptime on some sort of stat throughout an entire raid encounter or a Mythic Plus fight. And then the other option is going to be some item with blue silk lining. And blue silk lining is actually much easier to create, because what you do is you just grab this little patch here and then you add it to one of your crafted items. So it can go literally on any crafted item outside of something that already has its special embellished effect, or a trinket, for example. So blue silk lining is super easy. Be healthy and get mastery. That's it. So whenever you're above 90% health, you get X amount of mastery, and the amount of mastery and the amount of secondary stats for both of these items goes up based on the item level of the item it's on. So because of that, when you start getting your sparks, which by the way, you can get one full spark this week, so week 1 of Dragonflight Season 4, which I believe I still have in my bag because I haven't used it yet, you can automatically make one of your BIS items, whatever you deem that to be. If you are somebody who wants to run with the Armguards, great, pump up that Armguard, no big deal. If you want to upgrade something with blue silk lining, do that. Both of those are going to be BIS items for you, and that's one less item that you have to worry about farming for in Mythic Plus or for Raid. So okay, those are the two items. Now, what are the combinations? So there's two combinations. There's one Dracothyst Armguard plus a blue silk lining, or two blue silk linings. That's pretty much your choice. And one of them is less forgiving than the other. So let's start off with the easier one. That would be the Dracothyst Armguards and one blue silk lining, because you don't have to do anything with the blue silk or the Dracothyst Armguards. You just do things happen to you, you get stats. That's it. It does not change your playstyle at all, and there's really no drawback. You would rather be getting the mastery and haste version of it, but if you're still taking damage, you're still getting stats, and there are no bad secondaries on your Marksman Hunter. In fact, I said it in my Bullion video, I said it in my guide, this is one of the best times for a Marksman Hunter for secondary stats, because there's literally no bad stats. You just take your crit and haste to diminish returns, and then you dump the rest anywhere else. In mastery, versatility, that's fine by me. And by the way, what you see on my screen right now, that extra little bar underneath that, it's called True Stat Values. It's an add-on. You can get it wherever you download your add-ons. and it's really, really beneficial. It shows you how close you are to getting diminished returns without having to do any sort of math at all. It also shows you how much of a stat you're losing because of diminished returns. Then the other option, or I should say, that was Dracothyst Armguards and then the Blue Silk Lining. So the one caveat with Blue Silk Lining is if you're below 90% health, you only have one embellishment in this setup. Or if you are running with 2 Blue Silk Linings, which is the other option, you're below 90% health, you don't have embellishments. That's the one downfall. But the way Mastery works on a hunter, or a marksman hunter, is it increases the range of your abilities, but also increases the damage like exponentially compared to Versatility, for example, of your focus spinning ability. So anything that costs focus, so no auto shot, that sort of thing, will increase their damage for Mastery. Also increases it for Versatility. And then, like I just said, the other option would be running with 2 Blue Silk Linings. This one is more glass cannon build, and this is more for Mythic Plus, where you can kind of avoid some of that damage. You're not constantly taking damage. Now, there are some weeks where, like bursting, for example, you're going to be constantly taking damage. So maybe it's not as lucrative to run with 2 of your Blue Silk Linings at that point. But if you can keep your uptime between 50 and 70% in a dungeon, you're going to see extreme value in having 2 Blue Silk Linings. In fact, there was some dungeons last season, because I did run with both setups for both Raid and for Mythic Plus last season. I had upwards of 75 to 80% uptime, which means I basically had 2 trinkets worth of mastery the entire time I was doing these keys. That's crazy. So okay, so those are your options. If you are a player that you don't have to worry about min-maxing as much, Dracothyst Armguard and a Blue Silk Lining. That's also good for Raid, because you're going to be taking a lot of extra damage and be lower than that 90% health in Raid a lot, particularly on progression. And on the flip side, if you want to try to make sure you stay healthy and you want to do more damage, have a longer range, then do your 2 Blue Silk Linings. I would just pick one and then don't worry about the other version. So for me, I am personally going to run with 2 Blue Silk Linings because I'm going to do more Mythic Plus than I will be doing raiding, because my guild will probably raid for about 6 weeks and then we'll call it. We're not going to do too much Season 4. So I'm going to be focusing more for Mythic Plus. But by all means, if you are somebody who does Mythic Plus and you just don't want to have to worry about trying to min-max your uptime on Blue Silk Lining, do a Dracothyst Armguard in a Blue Silk Lining, and then just have fun and enjoy Season 4. So you're probably asking what items to put these on. So for Armguards, they are the item. You can't move that embellishment around, so that would be on the wrists. If I were wanting to put Blue Silk Lining on an item, I would put it on a piece of jewelry first, and if you have jewelry that's going to be filled up, then I would put it on a belt or a wrist piece. So that does mean that if you are running with Armguards, you can't put, Blue Silk Lining on the wrist, so you have to put it somewhere else. I have been using it on Signet of Titanic Insight since Season 1. In fact, the guy who made this ring doesn't even play, and he hasn't played since late Season 1. But it will be really good to put it on a piece of jewelry because you automatically get that gem slot. So that's a gem slot right away that you don't have to worry about getting out of your vault. And then you get exponentially more secondary stats because the way your jewelry works, whether that be neck piece or ring, is that there's no main stat, so they give you a lot more secondaries. Plus, these are super cheap to craft and super cheap to recraft if you want to constantly change your secondary stats with missives. So for example, I'm sitting over here with the crafting orders. Let's take a look at the neck piece, because the neck piece is going to be really strong this tier as well. So you just have to, literally, you spend like 250 gold worth of mats to craft the item. You add the spark that you can get here. You can get 1 full spark for the first week of Dragonflight Season 4. And then I think it's either going to be a half after that or it's going to be a full one. I'm not entirely sure on that one. If it's a full one, make whatever you want because it doesn't matter. If it's a half one, you do have to think about it a little bit more. What I would suggest doing, just put it on something that has a embellishment first, max that up to as high level item level as you can, and then just start making other items to kind of fill in the slots until you end up with your full BIS piece of gear. So they just give you a lot of secondary stats for these. They're super cheap and easy to craft and recraft. And because of that, I, for this first one, am going to do one of two things. I'm going to pump up my Signet of Titanic Insight, or I'm going to make the Torque neck piece. I would pick one of those and put blue silk lining on that. You can go buy blue silk lining from the auction house. The rank 2 version, the one that I have here, costs like 28 gold. It's super easy to make, super cheap, and you just see instant results. And then if you guys want to try to get better at tracking your blue silk lining uptime, whenever you go to your damage done section, you can go ahead and change this over here, and you change it to miscellaneous on details, and then you go to buff uptime, and this will tell you what your buff uptime is on various abilities. So for example, there we go. This should be able to tell me, like I had adaptive stone scales, which is my Armguards, for 23%. It will constantly tell you what your uptime is on your abilities, and if you continue to look at that and figure out where you can take less damage, you're going to get more value out of your blue silk lining. But that's all I have for you guys today. What do you guys think? What items are you going to be boosting first? And I did lead into it and didn't really talk about it. It does make a difference on what items you're going to be buying with bullion, because there's 2 really good rings right now. So maybe you do put it on that neck piece for now, but if you already have the ring made, you're probably not going to be buying that second ring anyway until week 8 or week 10 from raid. So at that point, you're really kind of just min-maxing and have plenty of sparks anyway. So if you add it to a ring, awesome. It's not going to hurt you in the long run. If you put it on your neck piece, awesome. You put it on a cloak, for example. You can do that through tailoring. Awesome. You just don't, you have options. So don't feel like the YouTuber says I have to do this, or the guide said I have to do this. You have plenty of options to put that on. Please leave me feedback down below. Let me know what you're going to be making so others can see what other people in the community are doing on their Marksman Hunter. But thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Be sure and follow me over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Eggplant. I've got a lot more videos planned. Please let me know what videos you guys would like to see from me, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.